we just shot 53% from three a game ago. Tonight we just did not. We weren't aggressive getting downhill. Our practice didn't translate to the game. Our intentionality of making play for teammates was tough. Our pace was lacking at times. So those things, just the fundamentals. We can do it. We'll do it. But we did not do it today. 9 assists, under 10 assists is just that's not good basketball.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Mark, you're being nice. That's not good basketball. It sucks. It sucks. Good afternoon. I'm Alan Cutler with a heavy heart for UK basketball fans. I'm serious. I'm being very serious today. There's no yelling and screaming. This is really bad crap. It is. Mark Pope, today, you're not a very smart basketball coach. I'm kind of tired of hearing how smart you are for now. Maybe I'll get back to it being okay with it. You know, just because you can get A's in the classroom doesn't mean you have common sense. You're just wrong. First of all, this is like low on my list, but it's not, because it's called being classy. Okay? I'm going to say something, and if this gets picked up, I don't care. I mean this sincerely. Mark Pope, you need to wash your mouth out with soap with how you've talked to Tom Leach. So we're going to play a Goodman short interview that Pope did. He's close with Jeff Goodman. Great. He will do one-on-ones with Jeff anytime Jeff shows up. Great. More power to Jeff. There's nothing negative there at all. Jeff is one of the most powerful media people in the country in athletics, and especially college basketball. More power to him. You don't talk to Tom Leach the way you've been talking to him. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You need to call Tom and apologize. Look, what do coaches do? They tell their players when they're often screaming and yelling to adjust on a dime and just do it. Yeah, I know players talk back now. Nothing like the good old days. That's superfluous for what I'm saying. Okay? You've lost the game. You feel terrible. Get control of yourself. Get control of yourself. Tom Leach is throwing you softball questions, and you won't even answer anything. You won't answer anything. I was embarrassed for you. Mark, I like you, whether you like me or not. I like you. There's a ton about you to like. But you have so many warts, it's ridiculous. Right now, as far as me, because I'm an educated fan, because that's what I am. Okay? I've been following sports since 1959. I've learned a few things along the way. That doesn't mean you're going to agree with me. And sometimes when you don't agree with me, you don't know what I know. That's pompous, and it's true. And sometimes you don't agree with me, guess what? You could be right. I can't be more honest than that. Can't be. Can't be. And some of you are stubborn with some of my opinions, and I'm smiling, and it's okay. Back to the main topic. You're not a good basketball coach right now. You're just not. Can he fix it? I hope so. Will he? I have no idea. I really don't. And I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks, not ready to say it, because I didn't want to jump the gun, because I think patience with somebody like Mark is important. Okay? Many of you are coming at me firing. Well, you know, I got to tell you this. Right now, if there's such a thing as a soft part of the schedule, Missouri, Mississippi State, LSU, this is probably it. At Tennessee, Texas, Ole Miss, Vandy, Arkansas, Oklahoma, then Tennessee, at Florida. If Kentucky plays like this, they ain't winning half their games. If Kentucky plays like this, they ain't going to the NCAA tournament. Now, I have to not talk out of both sides of my mouth. And this is really important. Every game is a chapter in a book. Every game is different. They could be totally different, and being at home will probably help against Missouri. They should be much better against Missouri. Missouri's not a cupcake now. Alabama is special. They really are. The point is this: if they play like this, they're not going to the NCAA tournament. They're just not. They're not. They have no shot of making the NCAA tournament. Do I think it's possible they can get much better? I do. Will they? How the hell do I know? And if you know for sure, all you can do is guess, because the sample size so far since we're into January sucks. It just really unequivocally sucks. It does. Now, I want to go to Nate Oates, Jimmy, pull it up. And there's more in my monologue, but Nate Oates just ripped the crap out of Pope, and he ripped the crap out of Kentucky. Look, Nate Oates is smarter than most basketball coaches. He was a high school coach. Got lucky that Hurley hired him at Buffalo. He did. He got lucky. And then Hurley, boom, left, and they gave him the job, and his career's never been the same. He could have been the Kentucky coach. Okay? Pope knows that. This is not breaking news. He didn't want to be the Kentucky coach. By the way, that's not a shot against Kentucky, but think about it. Nate Oates believes he can win the national championship at Alabama. I don't know him personally. I have talked to some people who know him. This is what I do believe. And I said it at the time. If he didn't think he could win the national championship at Alabama, do I think he would want to come here? Yes. But think of the advantages. Now, I'm going to say this really slowly because this is going to tick some of you people off. In some ways, now calm down. In some ways, the Alabama job is better. Here's why. You have Alabama football. You are way under the radar. The attention and the heat and the criticism you get for Alabama basketball is nothing like it is at the University of Kentucky. You can kind of be your own man and hide compared to Kentucky. For a coach, for a human being, that can really help your life. His family likes it down there. I am also saying that the term blue blood, it's changing right in front of our eyes. It's changing in football, and it might be changing in basketball. And if it changes in basketball, who is the coach has more to do with the blue bloods continuing. I said this a long time ago. Had Billy Gillispie not been fired, this program would have fallen apart. And then with hiring the right person, it would have come back. But after Billy Gillispie, if Mitch made a mistake, you know what? You might say Kentucky will always be a blue blood. I'm saying that's nice, but it's not the real world. It's just not. Now, Kentucky has tremendous advantages. You, the great fan, tremendous advantages. But it's not for everyone, as Cal used to like to say. I think Nate Oates is happier at Alabama than he would be here. You know what? God bless, more power to him. This is not for everybody. I really thought that Pope could handle this. Pope is not handling this. He's not handling this. Mark, grow up. You lost a damn game. The world hasn't ended. You take it personally. You sit down with Tom Leach and be a mensch, be a man, answer his questions. You have fans who are listening to the radio to hear what you say about what you said to your players, and you don't say a damn thing. That's insulting. That's embarrassing. And if you do your talk show tonight and you say, I really should have said different things, now it's 48 hours later. No. When you do the post game, be a man. Be a man. And why did you say so many things to Goodman, which we'll play that soundbite too, and you didn't say it to Tom Leach? Tom Leach probably doesn't want the attention. Sometimes Tom Leach has a tough job. He does it very smoothly because he can't criticize and say what he thinks. Come on. Tom is too smart. He would never be no filter like me, but privately, he'll be more no filter than he is on the air. It's smart by Tom. I'm listening to the postgame thing, and I want to tell you something. I was embarrassed for Pope. I was embarrassed for the man. Really? Really? Who does he listen to? Is Mitch talking to him? Is his wife talking to him? Is Mark Hill talking to him? Would his assistants talk to him? And if they're talking to him, who the hell does he listen to? Because this is not the first time. And you can say, well, Cutler, it's the stuff on the court. It is, but it's surrounding everything. Everything. This is bad. It's really bad. Lowe not being in the starting lineup is just past ridiculous. Okay? He could play 7 minutes and the shoulder could tweak and he could be done for the season. As long as he doesn't feel fatigue, he should play. Because with fatigue, you're more apt to get hurt, especially on the shoulder, if maybe you don't run through a screen as good as you would have, those kinds of things. That's what I would watch for. That's what I would watch for. It's awful. It's really awful. Okay. To what Opes figured out. So I had in my notes nothing with what Ope said. That's way above me. Okay, I suspected a little bit, but what he said was crazy, was absolutely crazy. And so he and or his staff looked at all the Kentucky games and how they don't pass the damn ball nearly as well when they're playing the better teams. That I kind of knew, but not to this level. Can't take any credit for that, not to this level. So I had in my notes, can you pass the ball to the open man? Can you do that? I mean, I want you to think for a second. There were a few times when Owe was open. And did he get the ball? Now, you want to say Owe's a bad three-point shooter? I think my friend Brandon Ramsey put out that number about a week or so ago, and I can't believe the numbers have changed that much. But when Owe is open for a three, he was shooting like 37%, which was actually a little better than I thought. And when he wasn't open, it went way down from there. And so this team doesn't pass the ball. I got to tell you, to me, probably the most disappointed player on the team is Aberdeen, and we don't talk about him enough. I can't believe how bad he's been. He doesn't like to pass the ball to Owe. He doesn't really like to pass the ball. These guys don't like to pass the ball. Why is Colin Chandler in the starting lineup? I mean, every Kentucky fan can feel that. They can feel that. And how much would they have lost if Lowe didn't play? At 21 and 27 minutes? Okay, and sometimes he needs to pass the ball too. And you're saying, Cutler, shut up? Guess what? He's a shoot-first point guard. He is. That's what he is. And I will tell you, they were dead in the water without him. Why the hell is he not starting? Why is he not starting? Why is he not starting? It's crazy. And to wait that long and to play Cam Williams so few minutes after he made 8 against a cupcake Bellarmine, a coach gives player confidence by sticking his fanny in the game. What are you telling him? I don't think you're good enough. First of all, Cam Williams should have started over Chandler. I got to tell you what, Denzel Aberdeen, his fanny would be on the bench too. Really? 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 And Jasper Johnson's uncle, Derek, is ticked off. Matter of fact, I asked him to do the show today. The last time he did the show, I think that's the only time, Jimmy. I don't remember. I had scheduled X amount of time. He went way longer because he's thoughtful. He's really smart. I've known the family forever. I consider him a personal friend, and he knows his stuff. He's got great common sense, and he's a smart man. And he ripped Kentucky on social media. He ripped him. And I wonder if he got some blowback from the family about that. But I got to tell you, I know nothing. But I got to tell you, if Jasper Johnson is playing 6 minutes a game like he did the other day, and that continues, would it surprise me if he left? Nope. And JQ's dad isn't very happy. By the way, should JQ go around and introduce himself to the other players on the team? He played 24 freaking minutes and got 4 shots. This is supposed to be a lotto pick, a top 10, top 5 pick, and you don't even pass him the damn ball? Really? That's dumb blank basketball. It is. All right, Nate Oates. Now, you have to read a little between the lines, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. Nate Oates, and I have no problem with this, is one of the cockiest coaches around. He's also one of the smartest coaches around. And he likes to tell you, and I have no problem with it, since he's been the coach, Alabama has won more than anybody else in the Southeastern Conference. And he thought last year was a bad year. He's been in the Final Four, Sweet 16s. He's won SECs, right? But he thinks he had a bad year last year. He has raised the level. The football team should have a coach just as good. We're not going on that tangent. We're not going on this tangent. This is a soundbite. Jimmy, it's clip number 3 that is really, really, really powerful. I had a sense it was along this direction. I got to tell you, I had no idea. And if you do, God bless you. I had no idea it was this strong. Finishing the point about OA being open. My dear friend Doug Barnes, who did the show the other day, and I saw, and I didn't write it down, how many times it happened, but I did write it down. Aberdeen, OA, question mark. Like, OA's open, pass him the damn ball. Look, if he's open for a three-point shot, I want him to shoot it. It's 37% open. I want him to shoot it. I don't like when he kind of creates a three or rushes or those kinds of things, because with this hitch, he needs to do it at a lower pace. But if he's open, pass him the damn ball. Aberdeen didn't. Now, Doug told me, remember, former assistant coach at Kentucky, watched tape forever, was a big-time small college head coach. As a matter of fact, he'd be a great advisor to Pope. I said this on the air. He'd be a great advisor to Cal. And Jimmy remembers this, how many times he'd come to our show and says, Kentucky needs to do this, and about 3 weeks later they would. And Kentucky needs to do this, and 3 weeks later, he was so uncanny smart. But he's a coach about some of the things Kentucky needed to do. I respect the heck out of him tremendously. And by the way, he suggested a guest I did not have on my list. And then when he said it, I'm going, why not? He's really smart. Wayne Bridgen's going to join us later in the week. Wayne's got great Kentucky history. He's a really smart guy, was on the bench at Kentucky, all kinds of stuff. And Wayne and Doug are dear friends. So when he said it, I went, duh, why didn't I think of that? I love great suggestions. I'm open-minded to it. Anyway, here's the point. I want you to listen to this soundbite, okay? I want you to listen to it, and we might play it again later in the week. And I don't know who the hell did it, if he did it or his assistants did it or whatever, but this is so good, it's scary. Here's clip number 3 about Kentucky not moving the ball.
We looked at a few different stats coming in this game. I had our guys pull every assist they've had, because when I watched them play, I didn't feel like they moved the ball great. And then you look and their assist rate's actually pretty high. Well, do a little deeper dive, 27 assists against by games that played a lot of zone. When they played high major teams that were really good, their assist rate's very low. They throw it into the bigs, they're not really passing. They had 7 assists out of the post in 13 games coming in. Moreno had 4 of them. I think somebody else had 3. I can't remember who it was, and then nobody else had an assist in 13 games out of the post. So our thing was they throw it in. Like, these guys they're not trying to pass. They're trying to score the ball.
That's really, really, really powerful. Wow. Again, did I know it was like this? Hell no. Did I think there was something to it? Yeah, I did myself, just because of how they play against cupcakes and how they played against zones. And what did the Bellarmine coach say after the game? What did Davenport say? He said, I told the guys it was my fault we lost because of the strategy, because they went zone, they just let him shoot. Which I thought was a really good comment by Davenport. It also was a nice thing to say to his kids. I really like him, by the way. I liked his dad a lot. And so I wish him the best of luck. I like at least how he talked to the media about people and how he goes about things. And he's better start winning a little bit more, and that's fine. I don't want to get on a tangent on that. But it was really, really, really good. Jimmy, we're going to go to clip number 2. Also something please pay attention to when he talks about the University of Kentucky basketball team.
Kentucky's not what everybody was hoping over there that they would be this year, but they still have a lot of talent that I think they're going to win some games. And, they had some injuries, and they're getting their chemistry back together. And, lucky for us, fortunate for us that, they don't have that many games under their belt with everybody available, and I don't think their chemistry's quite where they want it right now. But they're still good. I mean, they've got players over there that will play in the NBA. They've got McDonald's All-Americans. They got some of the best transfers come out of the portal. So that's a high talent team over there for us, and they were good last year.
That's a really strong comment. So you're saying you got NBA players. You're saying the chemistry isn't good now. That's a shot against the coach. It's a huge shot against the coach. He's basically saying, Pope, you're not doing a good job. That's what he's saying. You can disagree. I've been deciphering coach speak since longer than most of you listening have been around. Seriously. And if you think about it, why would he come out and just openly rip Mark Pope? You're not going to do that. But he did it in his own way. Jimmy, those 2 sound bites, have you heard, now in our 4th year doing a show, an opposing coach criticize Kentucky, anything like this at all? And by the way, before you answer, this is not unusual for Oates. I don't think this is a personal vendetta against Mark Pope. I don't believe it for a second. I don't think it's against Kentucky. Hey, this is just how he is. In his own way, he's got a lot of Bobby Hurley in him. He does. But have you heard all the sound bites you've played that I've sent to you? Have you heard anything like this at all?
No, and the way that he did it, too, by kind of respectfully picking apart all the weaknesses of Kentucky. And, again, the way he's like, he could have been, a lot, I guess, meaner would be the way, or just more to the point. But the way he laid it all out there was just like, boom, that's dismantling this Kentucky team.
Tell you what's not being dismantled, the women. Holy mackerel. This is deserved. I didn't know if they would get it. They've gone from 11 to 6 in the AP poll. Oh, and guess what? The game was on TV, so I could watch it. I don't consider SEC Plus game on TV. It was on SEC. And Tony Morgan, it's just goofy how good she is. Again, I don't know, and I need to talk to a couple of national people if there's a better point guard in the country, or there are 3 better point guards in the country. And they're fun to watch, and they're really well coached. Oh, my gosh. I want to get back to the men's thing, but he dislocated her elbow. And the fall, I looked at it a couple times. It was one of those freaky falls. Man, she's tough. She's been spectacular and a leader. The other day, she had 17 points and 16 rebounds against LSU. And I don't know that much about, I know about shoulders, but I don't know that much about dislocated elbows and how long you're going to be out. I don't know. But, there's a soundbite we'll play today, tomorrow, something like that, where Brooks is saying that the worst thing about coaching is watching one of your kids or any kid go down and painful. And it was interesting the way she fell. I'm going, huh? But the way she reacted, I'm going, she's tough and she's really good. So thoughts and prayers for her. Thoughts and prayers for her. This basketball team. I wanted to do football in this segment. I'm going to do 2-3 minutes of football, and then we'll take a break, and we'll do both again after 1:30. John Hale is joining us at 12:30. Jonathan Davis at 1 o'clock. So we'll do a lot of football with Hale, especially the portal. And Jonathan Davis is as no filter as any of my basketball guests. Another guest later this week will be Jim Master. I'm frustrated for Pope. I'm frustrated for UK fans. I'm frustrated for the basketball team, and I don't see a way out. And I stand what I've said a number of times about Pitino and his ripping. When he was defending Pope, part of it was absolutely right, and part of it was a BS comment by Pitino. You media people, and by the way, you can rip the media. I don't really give a crap, by the way. I know we're the whipping boys and girls sometimes. It just goes with the territory. So you think there's any sour grapes in there, you don't know me, and you think I'm a liar, so just turn the dial. Seriously. He was right when he said, you media weren't giving patience because they had injuries. Right. But that had nothing to do with why I was ripping the team, because their effort sucked. I'm a big effort guy because I was a lousy athlete. And guess what? I had to have more effort. I had to have more effort as a TV sportscaster because I know my sister was much smarter than me. My brother was much smarter than me. So I had to work harder. Sounds too psychological, but it's the truth. It's the truth. So Pitino, as he can be very smart and very, very disingenuous, which he is at times. That's just the way Rick is. Sorry, Rick, if you don't like it, but it's just the way it is. I want you to do an exercise. I did it, and we'll do it more some other time. And I did it last night with Dick Hoopsweiss, and he went holy blank, 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 and I went holy blank, blank, blank. Matter of fact, I got about 2.5 minutes. I think we can do this. Jimmy, play a little game with me, okay? I'm throwing this at a dime. Open up the SECsports.com. Let me give you a second to do that. And we're going to run down the league as Jimmy opens it up. And I want you to just think about, for a second, how many of these teams have a coach you'd rather have than Mark Pope today? Now, look, they could win 10 in a row, and you can say I'm nuts, but I'm going to say he's changed. I'm going to say he's changed. By the way, Vandy's 14-0, and they're now talking to recruits they've never been able to talk to. Georgia's got some talent. I've always liked Mike White as a coach. Bama, best coach in the conference. Let me tell you something. Arkansas is good. He's got great freshman guards. And here's the thing. I'll get into some other time. Cal looks relaxed again. One of the problems that Cal had here at the end, the last couple of years, I don't think he was relaxed. And you're saying, why would somebody coach all those years not be relaxed? I can't answer that. I'm just telling you, he looks different now. His freshman guards are studly. I want to see Missouri. We'll see him obviously this week. They're 11-3. By the way, Vandy's 14-0. Georgia's 13-1. Bama's 11-3. Arkansas is 11-3. Missouri's 11-3. Oklahoma's 11-3. A&M is 11-3. Mississippi State 9-5. I need to see them. LSU 12-2. I need to see them. Tennessee 10-4. I'm surprised they've lost 4 games. Auburn's 9-5. Florida's 9-5. Kentucky's 9-5. South Carolina's 9-5. Texas 9-5. Miller's having trouble down there. There's a great soundbite, and I covered Sean in high school and at Pitt, where he's telling, in a soundbite, he tells the kids what to do to not doing. He's sick and tired of telling kids what to do, so he's got problems down there. And I think Beard's a hell of a coach at Ole Miss, but right now they stink. They're 8-6. Jimmy, are there a lot of coaches quickly, superficially look in the league that today you think are a better coach than Mark Pope?
I would put in it, it's hard to know because you still have the potential for Mark Pope. And I think we've seen the bright spots, but because the bright spots haven't been enough of them, I mean, you would put Rick Barnes. I don't know about Rick Barnes, but Nate Oates, I would say for sure. And then the Vandy coach, Byington, is that how you say the name? Byington. I would put him above it too. Rick Barnes, just because you've seen what he can do, and I feel like he'd be able to galvanize a team together. I wouldn't say there's a lot of coaches, but I'd say there's 3 or 4.
Okay. But Kentucky's supposed to have the best because this is Kentucky.
Right.
And
that's not saying, and I think not putting words in your mouth, but for me, that's not saying I would fire Pope and then hire these guys tomorrow.
No. I'm glad you said that. I'm not suggesting that at all.
Yeah.
Just not only that, could this change? Absolutely. Yeah. And could he say a month from now, gosh, why did you say that then? Because today he's not doing a good job coaching. Could you say next week, Jimmy, I'm glad you pointed that out, and let me reemphasize it. Could I say next week, man, this thing has really turned and he's got it together? Yes. And do I think some of this is on the players? Absolutely. If those guys really like each other, I just don't buy it. I think there's a lot of I got to go to the NBA and I got the ball and I'm going to play some hero ball. I think that's part of the team. And I think when Pope did his evaluation, he either got fooled or didn't see it. If you want to say the roster isn't constructed properly, that's on Pope. If you want to say they spent $22 million or whatever the hell it was on too many role players, that's on Pope. If you want to say that Pope thought that some of these guys that were role players would get better, and I thought that too. I did. I don't make crap up, and I don't hide from what I say. I don't hide. I thought some of these guys, I can't believe Aberdeen how bad he is. I just can't. And Diabate looks like a couple times he wants to punch somebody in the face. That might be a slight exaggeration, but not really. He's a New York City boy. He knows. He knows. And he is no filter. No filter. John Hale is joining us now, so we'll take a quick break so we can get to John. Check out my friends at Quantrill, the Subaru, the Cadillac, the Volvo. They just finished their 2025 Subaru Share the Love event where they were donating with Subaru and locally from Quantrill $550. They promised to make you all kinds of great deals on the Subaru, new or leased. We have the XC60, the Volvo. We love it. It is a hybrid. It is the best car we've ever had. Notice I'm saying had, not owned. We lease it. It gets great mileage, and it's saving us a ton of money. And I figured it out before with what the electricity would cost and this, cat, and that. And it's close, not exactly, but it's close. And we're saving, it looks like a couple of payments a year just because it's a hybrid. It's powerful. And the way they treat you, the way they treat people, and they do things the right way. I trust them. Quantrill Cadillac, Quantrill Volvo, Quantrill Subaru. They've been around here forever. They donate money to charity. They're a great people organization the way I see it. They will treat you right. They promise to do the best to make you happy. Can't ask for more than that. What if John Hale is happy? Jimmy, I wonder if John Hale's gotten any sleep the last 5 days.
It's around the clock with this portal.
Yeah, it really is. I bet it's driving him crazy. I wonder if he's got more gray hair. I'm going to ask him that in the last week. John Hale does a hell of a job. Coming up next, Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment. Hit the text line, 859-381-1313, 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
I'm Kathy Bingaman. Over the holiday, there was an attempted fraud attack. My personal banker, Mary Rose, and I networked together, and the first thing that I thought of was I have to text her. And it was just within the next few minutes, there was an entire team that came together collectively. And that's just not the type of service that you typically get from your bank.
That's Kathy's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Uncle Rick, warm yourself up with a hot coffee or cappuccino at Clark's Pub and Shop.
What?
Cappuccino. And while you're there, be sure to pick up some of our in-store specials. We have assorted Hershey, Reese, Kit Kat, and Payday king-size candy bars. Buy one, get one for $1.
I feel warmer already. Clark's Pub and Shop. Return. Refresh. Refuel. Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Booker eyes the clock. Sun spreading the floor. Book raising up. Fires. Boom! Boom! Goes Booker! .7 left!
You know what I loved about that? Not just that Booker hit the game winner over OKC, but he eyes the clock. He is so calm. And anytime you beat OKC, it's a big win. Suns beat OKC 108-105. Booker had 24 points, and SGA had 25, which is a light game for him, less than his average. Boy, he's unbelievable. The heck with what's going on in football. John, first of all, John Hale, thank you for joining us. But you got circles under your eye. Have you got any sleep in the last? Whoa, John, turn your head sideways. Turn your head a little side. Oh my gosh, look at all the white and gray hair that's come in the last week.
That's about having a 3-year-old, not about transfer portal. So,
amen to that. And it's a blessing through all this. I hope you spend as much time with your 3-year-old as humanly possible. You're not going to miss something, but if you miss something, you spend an extra 2 hours with your 3-year-old. It's a blessing. Trust me, as an old guy, if there's one thing in my whole life I would have done better is not spend so much time at TV and spend more time with my kids. So learn from my dumb mistakes. And I'm lucky I have the relationship I have with my kids because I should have spent more time. Forget it. Not about me. But have you gotten 5 hours sleep any night in the last week?
yeah, it's been normal. It's fine. You wake up in the morning, if they have a random Gardner Webb outside linebacker committee, you just deal with it then. So it's all right. We're dealing with it.
Great attitude. Look, what I did 1,000 years ago, and I know you do the same thing, you look at who also wanted the kid, but we both know sometimes it's BS and you can send a letter or you do a phone call, but that doesn't mean they really want you. So I always have trouble judging that, and I think we all do. But I saw Ohio State with the Gardner Webb kid, so I went, what? This is Ohio State. Was that legitimate or no?
No, I think so. I mean, he took a visit there. That in the portal era, that's even harder sometimes because if you get a guy on campus, you clearly have some sort of interest in him. But also, I think there was this excitement on Friday when the portal first opens and we're seeing all these reports with Kentucky and other schools where it's like, oh, this guy's going to visit Kentucky in 6 days. This guy's going to visit Kentucky next week. And then a lot of those guys just committed over the weekend to the first school they visited. So that getting that first visit is always really big. And so Kentucky, I think with the Gardner Webb guy, O'Berry, I think it's his last name in particular, had a nice connection there because their new assistant defensive backs coach, Trey Odom, was at Gardner Webb last year. So they knew each other and he had that staff. I'm sure that helped them a lot. But yeah, I don't think that you should necessarily just look at the school the kid is coming from and assume that, he's not SEC caliber or whatever. And this era of college sports, we see that all the time, guys moving up a level. I mean, look at Ole Miss's quarterback. He was a D2 guy last year and see what he's doing now. Like, that's the best part of this transfer portal is guys who did not get interest out of high school, who did not have these opportunities, can go prove themselves, and then they can come play in the SEC.
John Hale does a great job for the Lexington Herald Leader. Joins us. I am against the grain. I get why he's doing it. It's the proper thing to do in some cases. I have said from the get-go, I don't like it. And this is the proof in the pudding. If they say, well, if Oregon scores 55 points, they didn't score very well the other day, but they score 55 points and win the national championship, all the love Will Stein will get, I think it's great. He ain't here now. And they're going to miss out on some kids look, he went face-to-face with the quarterback, and I'm going to guess they brought in about as many kids as they could for him to spend a little time with, and he probably didn't get any sleep when he was going around the clock and stuff like that. But him not being here is going to cost him recruits. I don't give a crap what anybody says. I just don't, because, maybe if a guy can come on a Tuesday or Wednesday, but they want to see the coach, and the coach is not here. This can't help him, yes?
It's definitely a problem. I will say, I think one thing that helps them with the schedule this week is that Oregon is playing in the Peach Bowl on the 8th, which is obviously in Atlanta. And I think they're scheduled to get there on Wednesday, if I read the media schedule correctly. So that's 2 more days. It's in his contract that he has access to UK's private jet or whatever one they use throughout this transition period. So I am confident that if on Wednesday there's some top portal recruit, if they get another quarterback in who wants to see Will Stein, he'll do his stuff in Atlanta in the morning at Oregon, and he'll fly up here for 2 hours and fly back if he has to. So I think they're going to try and make it work, but you are right. It's not ideal. You hopefully have your head coach here 24/7 to handle whatever. At least with Zoom and all of these things, he can get some face-to-face time. And with the jet, I think he can make some trips here. But certainly, if he's going to Oregon the next 2 days, I don't know his specific itinerary, that's going to be complicating for Kentucky.
It's a great point, and I can absolutely see what you're saying, John, that, okay, we had dinner, done for the night, 5 o'clock, hop on a jet, be here, 3 hours, back, you can tuck the little babies in, that kind of thing. I agree, but I've never liked it. I understand it. I understand his loyalty to Lanning and his kids and stuff like that and trying to do the right thing. It just sucks for Kentucky. And I just can't change it. It just.
Well, I mean, it's also not great for Oregon either, because your offensive coordinator just spent the entire weekend in Lexington trying to recruit guys, and they're trying to win a playoff game this week. And so that, I'm sure he's not giving as much attention to that job either as they would like before a quarterfinal game against the number 1 seed in the playoffs. So for both sides, it's not great. You just hope that you have enough people around you in both locations that you can get these things done.
Let's talk quarterbacks. When I heard that Sam Levitt stayed here late to watch film, I thought that was good. He obviously crossed out Texas Tech because they crossed him out because they got so to speak, the kid from UC. If anybody's going to pay $5 million, I don't know if it's true, John. Maybe you do. It's a ton of money. So he's going there from Cincinnati, and so the fact that Levitt didn't commit here when he was here and goes to LSU, and now you got a proven guru head coach quarterback dude with a young brand new head coach who is a quarterback guru. I believe UK has more money to spend on a quarterback than many think, but I don't know if they got LSU money, and I don't know if they got Texas Tech money. And so when he said in his opening press conference that there were times that Oregon was not the highest bidder, but they got the player because of relationships. The pressure is on. The pressure is on, and I'm sure he's got some sort of backup plans. He's too smart not to, and that kind of thing. But when he left and didn't sign on the dotted line, I went, "Uh-oh, that's
it's not great for sure." I mean, I don't think you can feel confident as a Kentucky fan they're going to get him today. I think right before I came on 3, I think Steve Wiltfong had a report that he's expected there at 1 p.m. Central at LSU today, and that LSU people are confident they can land him if they push for it. There was questions last night as to whether LSU was going to try and get Ole Miss's quarterback to come with him from Lane Kiffin, but the report this morning was he signed a new deal with Ole Miss, so that's off the table. Maybe there are other guys. The Alabama quarterback is obviously being rumored to considering his future. Ty Simpson, if he comes in the portal, would LSU prioritize him? I think even if the money, this is what Will Stein's going to figure out this week, and he probably already knew it too. Even if the money is equal for Kentucky and LSU and Texas A&M and Oregon, if Oregon gets in on this late, like that's going to be a problem to convince the top quarterback or the number 2 quarterback in the portal, depending on where you look, to come to Kentucky against schools that are already in the playoff. Right now, Will Stein's selling a vision like we can get Kentucky there, but Texas Tech is in the playoff. Like Ole Miss, LSU has won national championships in recent years. Oregon obviously still in the playoff. Like those schools have proven that like, hey, they can recruit, can develop you too to go to the NFL, and you can compete for a national championship. That's going to be hard for Kentucky to compete against unless they're overpaying for a guy, which is probably not going to happen given these astronomical numbers quarterbacks are getting.
I never thought a quarterback would even be rumored to get $5 million. And if Beck got $4 million last year, and I've talked to some people who know more than me nationally who said he really did get $4 million. Okay. That means, Miami has money, and it certainly was worth it. It certainly was worth. Let's put it this way. If Miami had Zach Calzada as a starting quarterback, you think they'd be in the playoffs?
Do not.
It was very kind of you, John. It's very kind of you. Okay. I'm going to paint a scenario, and then I'm going to literally shut my mic off, John Hale, because I'm fair. Okay. I kind of knew 2 weeks ago that Cutler wasn't coming back. I never said it because I wasn't going to. And my dear friend Ryan Lemon, this happened to him. Okay. He had a basketball kid that he got good information that the kid was coming to Kentucky. And at the last minute, the kid changed his mind, which happens. You've seen this. I've seen this. Happens all the time. And he got roasted for it. But when he had the information in this particular situation, he was right. Okay. And so I didn't say a word a couple of weeks ago because things change and I'm left with the cookie jar. So here's my scenario, and then I'm going to shut up. They did not kick Cutler out. Cutler didn't all of a sudden go to Arizona State because Levitt was leaving. There were fans saying that that's such BS and it's so wrong, it's not even funny. They actually were going to be happy to keep Cutler the way they wanted to. Right. Cutler wanted to know. This is fair. You think Levitt's going anywhere when he doesn't know he's the man? Cutler wanted to know he's the man. They would not tell him that. And by the way, that's he's the head coach. He can do any damn thing he wants. I support that, by the way. But I don't blame Cutler for saying, I want to know that I'm going to be the man. Now, it happens he's getting a ton more money at Arizona State. I'm going to guess whoever the Kentucky quarterback will get at least that much here. You're not going to pay Cutler Bowley starting money at Kentucky if you're bringing somebody else in to start. It's stupid evaluation of a budget that's tight.
Right.
So I'm not so sure quietly they're not upset he left because whatever they pay the backup, I bet it's not as much as Cutler was offered to stay. I will see, but I really believe that. Point is, Cutler did what's best for himself. Cutler absolutely did what's best for himself. Stein is doing what's best for him, but they didn't want Cutler as a starting quarterback. I absolutely believe it. I've believed it for weeks, and I'm not changing my mind. And if you want to tell me I'm wrong, John Hale, Harold Leader, please tell me I'm wrong, and I'm shutting my mic.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, I think it's very telling that every time that Will Stein was asked about Cutler Bowley directly in a public interview since he got the job, he was very careful not to present the idea that they were begging him to stay, which, let's be honest, the last 2 years, Mark Stoops essentially was not shy about saying they were begging Cutler Bowley to stay and building around him for the future. That was their whole message as to why they could be better next year if you kept that staff, was they had this young, exciting quarterback that they could build around. They didn't have to go find another transfer quarterback. Like Will Stein clearly did not want that message out there. Probably part of it is they were not sure that Cutler was the guy yet because he has some accuracy issues. He's thrown, I think, one fewer interception than touchdown in his career so far. Will Stein made it clear, like, accuracy is the number one thing he looks for in a quarterback. The other part of it is if they thought Cutler was going to leave because whatever number they evaluated him at, he was going to get more at Arizona State or somewhere else. You don't want it perception-wise out there that you really, really wanted this guy to stay if you know you might lose him anyway. Like there's a PR part of it for sure. I do think that they had a number where they wanted Cutler at, and whatever their budget is, we don't know what the budget is, but you hire a general manager and Pat Biondo to make these decisions and say, like, okay, here's the number we evaluate you at. And if you're going to build a full roster with as many holes as they have, you can't overpay for sentimentality that the guy's the local kid, that he might be a huge star. You have to say your number. And if he gets more somewhere else, if he needs a guarantee for a starting competition, you're not ready to give it to him. Like, that part of it is just the equation they had to make. The only way we're going to find out if it was the right decision is who they get to replace him. If they had signed Sam Levitt over the weekend, nobody would have complained about it at all. But now if Sam Levitt goes to LSU or Oregon or somewhere else, And most of the top quarterbacks are coming off the board very rapidly. If they end up with, like, just hypothetically, Michael Van Buren from LSU, nobody's going to be excited about that. That's not going to be an upgrade over Cutter Boldy. So it's going to be a really interesting test for them right off the bat in terms of evaluation, recruiting, and whether they're going to be able to follow through with the plan they have.
I'm absolutely 100% sure if Stein said, Cutter, you're my guy, Cutter would still be here, one. And two, if Stein did that, why wouldn't you want to say, I got my quarterback, now let's go get some wide receivers for the quarterback? And as long as this went on, that convinced me even more versus the information that I had. I mean, they wanted Ty Bryan here. They made a strong pitch personally, DC and Stein, to keep him. They really, really want it, which is great, by the way. He's a great kid, great family, the whole thing. I still think he was the best player on the team last year, but I don't want to get into that with you. There's other more important things I want to talk to you about. They just didn't think he was the guy. That's their right. That's their right. But it's not disingenuous on Stein, and it's not just disingenuous in Cutter. And I believe if 2 weeks ago they said, Cutter, you're the guy, it would have been announced a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and the other part of this, too, is like even if Cutter had come back, they would have had 2 scholarship quarterbacks for sure, maybe a third guy if Ponatoski, the high school kid, doesn't get drafted high enough in the Major League Baseball draft and signs next year. So that's 3. You still need a 4th quarterback. And so to go out and find somebody in the portal who is not they don't want just a body to come in. They want a guy who they think can win games if he's forced to play. But there aren't many transfer quarterbacks out there who are saying, oh, I want to come be the backup at some school. Like, they want to know they have a chance to compete. That's how you get a guy who's good enough to do that. And so the dynamic there of trying to find another quarterback to either back up Cutter or compete with Cutter, like, that was always going to be really difficult because they couldn't come out and just say 100%, like, Cutter's definitely our guy, because then they weren't going to get a competent backup at all. And they were going to be in trouble if Cutter did not make the step forward that everybody hopes he makes. If he's the same guy he was in those last 2 games of the season last year, then you're benching him a month into the season. You don't have another option. So it was definitely a rough dynamic there. And it's going to be a fascinating comparison all season between whoever they sign and what Cutter's doing at Arizona State. It's going to be a storyline all year. It's going to be something that follows Will Stein for his first season for sure.
What Kentucky's kid did. You see what Stein? I mean, you see what Cutter did. It's absolutely. God bless you, because what I have been saying, that football is now the same thing as basketball. Hang with me a second. That with Kentucky in basketball having an issue with having a really good backup point guard, if you're that good, you want to play. Yeah. And so part of the problem that actually St. John's has that problem. Pope is not the only guy who had this problem. Okay. They don't have a backup point guard. They just don't. Everybody knows that. But if you're a hell of a backup, you have a point guard, and Kentucky's, you want to know that you might be playing 12 minutes off the bench because you didn't know Lowe was going to get hurt. So why the hell would you come here? And I don't care if it's Kentucky, kids got to take care of themselves. Well, the same thing is true in football. Exactly what you're saying. And so when you're spending so much money for your front guy, money isn't everything. It's a huge part of it. But kids need snaps and kids need to play. And to get a really good backup quarterback, unless you have some ties in the state of Kentucky, or you get lucky, or you get a guy from a lower level that then amplifies himself and then leaves because he doesn't get the job the year after, that's different. I think a lot of bigger schools, not a ton, but more and more, you're going to have basketball teams and football teams in the big schools who are going to have trouble getting backups, because if you're that good, you want a PLAY.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this portal and NIL era has created. I mean, there's a story in The Athletic yesterday from Bruce Feldman talking about that's why the SEC is not as dominant in football as it was for that period, because in that stretch where Alabama and Georgia were winning all those titles, like, their second and third string guys could start at most other programs, but those guys aren't sitting around and waiting anymore because they can get paid to go somewhere else and be a starter, as opposed to whatever money they get as a backup there. And so we're seeing that. I mean, quarterbacks is probably always, I mean, the old saying, quarterbacks are made to transfer. So that's not necessarily a new thing, but the fact that you can transfer, play right away, get paid, that's really going to be what we see a lot. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to have more than 2 quarterbacks they're feeling good about, but you got to have 2 at some point. You got to have a guy you're confident putting in there. Maybe Brennan Ward ends up being that guy for Kentucky, but you can't say that based on what we saw last year, and especially a new staff who's never really seen him play. like the quarterback they're bringing in yesterday and today from Elon, like that's the kind of guy you're going to get as a backup. Like he was great at the FCS level. He's a redshirt freshman. He's probably willing to back up for a year and see if he develops under a guy like Will Stein. But you don't want him to be your starter day one at Kentucky next year. If he ends up being their starter, if that's the best quarterback they get in the portal, that's not a successful 2 weeks that they've had recruiting quarterbacks. So it's a really difficult dynamic.
Unless he ends up being like the Ole Miss quarterback, and nobody in the world thought that.
Right, but he didn't start either. I mean, like they didn't recruit him to be the starter last year. I mean, that's what happens. That's your best case scenario. You get a small school guy who turns out to be better than you thought, but you're not recruiting him to be your starter from day one in the SEC.
That scramble when he threw the ball like a second baseman making a backhand flip for a completion, and how long he threw it. It's one of the greatest plays I've ever seen. And I remember first time I saw him going, who is this kid? How is he? You know, you're doing the same thing the first time you saw him going. Big, strong, smart, reacts quickly, probably throws the ball too damn hard to break. He's probably breaking some fingers, exaggeration, but he's so accurate. I mean, you look at this kid and go, my gosh, he'll be a top 10 pick if he doesn't come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like if Kentucky played them week 3 or whatever last year, and their other guy was the starter, and Mark Stoops was talking that week because I think that was when Cutler had taken over the job or as a backup. Is like, this is what you want from him. He sat for 2 years and he learned in the system, and now he's the guy going to year 3. And then he got hurt against Kentucky. And I remember looking at Ole Miss like 3 weeks later and not following them very closely and being like, what happened to the guy who played against Kentucky? Where's Austin Kendall? And then who's this other guy? And then trying to figure it out. And now we're in a spot where like Trenton Chambliss, if that's how you say his name, is a bona fide star. And now they're trying to get him back another year.
And I thought Kendall had great potential, and then he's disappeared. Okay, throw this at me. I in my old age, I've become cautious. You got to know these kids better than me. I'm sure there are some kids you really didn't know either, and then you've been scrambling and spending a bunch of time reading like I have. Hopefully that's a fair comment.
No, yes, 100%.
On paper, and I want to be cautious now because I don't want to get sucked into a hype. But on paper, with the kids that they've gotten so far, like the new offensive, the center stuff like that, because they have no line. It looks like on paper, the kids that have committed, oh, John, I'm going to use that dirty word, smack me if you don't like it. Potentially, they all could be, and they won't all be, but they all could be upgrades to what's here. So even though it's a small number, I don't really care about that because there's a lot of kids 3 weeks from now they're going to sign that I don't know who the hell they are, will be good football players. Evaluate. So far, outside the quarterback thing, which I think people need to have patience that nobody does, at least it looks like the bodies that are committing here are upgrades for the team next year. It seems that way. That's all. That's the best I got. But what do you say? Because you're diving like crazy into this.
Yeah, it's certainly, I think, upgrades over what they have on the roster at the moment. I think we're going to need some time to figure out if there are upgrades over some of the guys they've lost the last couple of weeks. Like, is the corner from Sykes from Western Carolina, is he better than DJ Waller, who is transferring to Louisville? I don't know. DJ Waller wasn't healthy all last year, so it didn't really matter anyway. Is the outside linebacker from Gardner Webb, is he better than Steven Souls was as a pass rusher who left in the portal? I don't know. We'll find out. But I think they're at least of the caliber, what they've done at smaller schools, that you say, okay, you can see this panning out for them. Colton Price, the center from Baylor, he's the one guy of the 5 they've gotten so far who you think, okay, that's a locked in, guaranteed starter day one next season. And they don't have a starting offensive line right now. So clearly that's a huge part, but I think he's definitely better than anything they could have hoped for at that center spot, coming in, a guy who started, I think, 30 games over the last 3 years at Baylor. Huge win for them. They got to get some tackles. They got to get another guard to play around him. We'll see. The 4 defensive guys they've had so far, high ceiling guys, I think can be really good players. Tavion Wallace, Trevin Wallace's little brother. I remember Trevin told me his senior year that his little brother was better than him. Didn't play a lot at Arkansas last year, so I don't think you're counting on him to start from day one. But he's going to be one of the most talented players on the roster. And if he can make that leap that Trevin did year 2, year 3, like that's a really nice piece to have. And you want to take some of those big swings in the portal too. So I think what they've done so far, you're certainly pleased with. It's interesting to see how important that quarterback decision is in terms of getting receivers and running backs and kind of the domino effect there. I'm interested to see the next couple of days if they can start lining some of those guys up without a quarterback, or if they have to wait to know who the quarterback is to convince some of those other guys to come to.
I'm going to bet you looked into this tons more than me because I haven't at all. So you better know more than John. What a nice thing to say to a guest. Looking at the numbers, January 16th is, quote unquote, the bottom line. That's when the portal ends. But there's a second thing. That's when school starts.
Yeah.
I don't know how quickly, if a kid commits on the 13th, can you get him in school on the 15th and 16th? I don't know if you can do that. I don't know the procedure. I don't know about grades. I don't know if they have an area where they can fast track, because the transcripts, as you know, come on, are through the years. So I don't know what the drop down time period is. And with them doing this, are they really backlogged now, even though they have 11 days? I would hate for them to lose some kids who legitimately are good enough academically to come to Kentucky, but it takes too long to get them in. And now they're losing a semester. And now that kid might say, well, so-and-so will get me in school, so I'm going to go somewhere else. I think that's a bigger issue that's being talked about. Am I wrong?
I mean, it certainly will be an issue next week if we're getting down to those last few days and it's not there. I will say that last spring in this same scenario, Shiaz Pete, who ended up being Kentucky's starting left tackle, actually committed, I think, the day of or the day after the ad drop deadline, and they somehow got him in classes for the spring, like all online classes. He was also finishing some stuff at New Mexico State, so he was like dual enrolled at both places for the spring semester. So that one was really complicated, and they made it work. So that makes me think that they can probably get most of it ironed out. But I'm certain they're telling all their transfers, like, you want to get this done as soon as possible. You want to get in, so we make sure we can get all the T's crossed and I's dotted and everything lined up to get you in school. Most places other than schools who are on the quarter system, which is few and far between now, will have a similar deadline. So I'm sure all of these guys in the portal have that in mind. But the closer you get to the deadline, the harder it's going to be, for sure.
So would you say this is a small concern or a big concern? I think it's a small concern, but I think it's not being talked about enough. And I think it's legitimate. And I don't know, Pete's and if he had great grades or something like that. And I wonder if you look at a kid, even though they're doing stuff on, oh, this kid has great grades, we can push this through quickly. I don't know is what I'm saying, John, but there has to be a little trepidation with this. And I'm not saying a ton because I don't know enough to say a ton, but I think a little is fair, no?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And with having a new staff, like Will Stein and these guys are going to have to rely on a lot of people who are holdovers from the last staff and administration and all that stuff. Like, they're not on the ground here. They haven't been here long enough to know all the ins and outs of the university. So they're going to have to rely on some people they don't know very well to get all that done. So I think it is a small concern, like you said. The one difference this year is there's no spring window. You can't just wait until the spring and fill in some more holes. So everybody's got to get it done in the next 2 weeks, which adds more transfers, more concerns. And then that theoretically could increase that backlog a little bit too.
There's a lot of kids who are pretty good football players and pretty damn good kids who are going to be out of a job because they put the name in the portal. And I wonder how many coaches will take them back or something like that, maybe more now than ever before. But I'm there for the kids that are putting a name in the portal and there ain't no place for them to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a problem. I mean, we've seen it already, and this one window is going to make it even more. They're going to have to transfer down to FCS schools and Division II schools and junior colleges and all that if they want to keep playing. So there are certainly players in the portal right now who are going to be left without a spot on January 16th.
Anything else in the portal that we haven't discussed that's a hot button for you, John?
No, I mean, it's just a waiting game. Like, see what else happens. Like, the quarterback is, until they get that figured out, like, at what point do they move on from Leavitt? Do they read the tea leaves and say, okay, we're not going to get him, we got to go all in on somebody else? Or do they let him wait it out and see if LSU is going to prioritize him or if somebody else is going to swoop in and hope that you land him in the end? That's the most fascinating dynamic to me in the next 2 days.
Last one. You don't believe for a second, do you? I'm not putting words in your mouth. I don't believe for a second. Sorry, John. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. That the cheating that was going on, quote, quote, last year will continue. That getting over $20 million to divide up on athletes has nothing to do with the amount of money getting paid. That you're not going to pay someone $5 million and all of a sudden get $5 million worth of legitimate NIL stuff. It's just BS. It's disingenuous. And when Mitch said we're not going to cheat, I just looked at him going, what are you talking about? Am I wrong?
I'm fascinated. I mean, I heard some numbers on Friday that, like, nothing concrete to report, that shocked me about what their budget would be right now. I think some of that was probably a little bit of excitement initially when Leavitt was on campus. The one caveat here, and Mitch did not do a great job explaining this in his interview with me, but I've been told for some people behind the scenes now, is because so much of the current rosters for both basketball and football were funded pre-July 1st last year. They have a ton of the current year budget still available and next year's budget. So I think sometimes when you hear like a $25 million roster Like half of that is this year, half of that's next year. Some part of it is also NIL money. I do think, though, if the clearinghouse stands up in court, which I think everybody's skeptical about whether that will happen, we will see schools start to get sued because they are promising NIL deals right now to recruits that will not get cleared, and then that money will not follow through, and so that will lead to a different round of lawsuits. So it's all certainly up in the air right now.
Yeah, when I was told that thing in July, I went, "Oh, that's pretty smart." My thought was, "Hey, that was smart by Kentucky." The way they did it, and I don't think that was an accident. You get it.
No.
Give yourself a great plug. You do a hell of a job, and I'm really glad that you don't have a lot more gray hairs doing the portal's not over.
Yeah, no, 2 more weeks. Yeah, it's everything at KentuckySports.com. You can find our coverage, and then John Hale_HL on Twitter.
Hey, man, you do a great job. Thank you for your time. I know you're really busy. You could have easily begged out, and you didn't do it, dude. So thanks,
Al. Appreciate it.
See you, man. John Hale, really, really good. He's very logical, Jimmy, with the thought process. Logical. And I don't believe for a second and please, Texas Tech, call me. Tell me I'm wrong. If you're going to pay the kid $5 million, if they're really paying $5 million, they're getting $5 million through NIL deals. Really? Really? You know what? And that last thing which you said, which I have mentioned before, that the way they structured the year, free up money in July, which is really smart. I wonder how many schools did the same thing. Don't know.
With this being kind of the beginning stages of all the NIL, that once 1 or 2 of these schools do it and the other schools look at it and exactly like you said, the timing of the money and everything, this is slowly, it's going to be a trickle down. Then everyone's going to be doing it next year, and then you got to find another way to get a little bit ahead.
I think some of these administrators share more ideas than we realize, and it's a little protection and also to help each other out. For example, somebody like a Mitch Barnhart has tons of contacts as ADs, and they're sharing ideas because it's kind of like, hey, I'll tell you something might help you out, but you got to tell me something, help me out. And I think some of these long-term relationships, some of it is good for athletics departments in both places where they're sharing, or how do you do this, or how do you deal with that, or how do you do with that? It's private conversations. It is, and I think some of these guys and gals too, help each other out, and I think it's really smart. We don't know how much and how many, but I think it's more than people realize. Yeah,
and it starts at like the lowest level. I mean, like the players, because you see like tight end where they have all the tight ends get together. They do it with quarterbacks. They talk in the offseason. Defensive backs, they talk. Coaches talk. So you have to think it's going to continue up the chain of command all the way up to the AD. They're all picking each other's brains.
When the coaches get together, what they do in the SEC down to Florida, and it's relaxing, and they're hanging out, getting together, having a couple of beers and stuff like that. I think a lot of these guys share stuff and help each other out, and they should.
Oh, yeah.
And they should. And that's how some of these relationships grow and develop. Do I think they all love each other? Hell no. But do some of these guys help each other out? Absolutely. Jonathan Davis. I wonder if he is down on the program or equals to how I feel. I'm curious how the former UK backup forward center, really, really, really smart dude, thinks. We'll have that coming up next. Boy, I tell you what, for January, is there a lot of stuff to talk about? Are we dry talking about stuff? Terry Page, check her out. I couldn't see her last week because she took a few days off. Terry, I need you this week. 859-373-0578. 859-373-0578. A great licensed massage therapist in Butler, Kentucky, Monday and Tuesday, in Lexington, Thursday and Friday. Please use my name. Please use my name. Off Regency Road in Lexington. 859-373-0578. My friend Jonathan Davis coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
I'm Kathy Binkaman. Over the holiday, there was an attempted fraud attack. My personal banker, Mary Rose, and I networked together, and the first thing that I thought of was I have to text her. And it was just within the next few minutes, there was an entire team that came together collectively. And that's just not the type of service that you typically get from your bank.
That's Kathy's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Uncle Rick, warm yourself up with a hot coffee or cappuccino at Clark's Pub and Shop.
Kappa what?
Cappuccino. And while you're there, be sure to pick up some of our in-store specials. We have assorted Hershey, Reese, Kit Kat, and Payday king-size candy bars. Buy one, get one for $1.
I feel warmer already. Clark's Pub and Shop. Return. Refresh. Refill.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. WLXG Lexington. And LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. That was really good stuff with John Hale. By the way, UK now has a new strength coach. Brandon Roberts is it's a fancy name they have now. In the old days, it was a strength coach back, in the 1840s when Jonathan Davis played. It's the director of sports performance. That's what it's called. Brandon Roberts. He spent the last 9 years at South Florida. And then he became an assistant athletics director. And of course, the quotes, and he's one of the best in the business. Great, wish him good luck. That's what you're going to say with
He must have a PhD. He's got this fancy title, so.
Give him the title, Jonathan. I think that's how it goes. But good luck. More strength coaches these days have beards. I guess.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I'm against beards. Can you tell?
I can tell. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to throw this out, and I'm going to shut my mic off. I have never been so concerned about Mark Pope. Never. I'm not saying he can't do it. I am saying that not to be concerned right now when you can't get the right guys starting, when you can't get your kids playing hard, when you can't get your kids to pass to each other. And if these kids really like each other, they have a funny way of showing it. When you have Nate Oates, I don't know if you heard the soundbite, I played it, and I can play it again if you didn't hear it. It's a different audience, oftentimes at this time of the day anyway, where he said they looked at tape, and basically, he didn't say cupcake, but in the cupcake games, UK doesn't pass the ball. They just don't, and they analyze stuff. Right now, this is not a very good basketball team. And losing to Alabama wasn't going to get me to this conclusion. How they lost and how they continue to lose. And I got to tell you, I don't like how Mark Pope doesn't man up and give legitimate answers to Tom Leach after the game. He doesn't say squat. You're getting paid a lot of money to do it, which is fine. The second part is your fans are listening for you to say something. What'd you say in the locker room? Well, it was a lot of stuff. I don't want to hear that crap. Man up. Be mature. You're a coach and you tell kids to do something on a dime and you lost and you don't like losing, and I respect that. You're talking to Tom Leach. The other thing is, with this part we haven't played, he talked to Jeff Goodman. Now, he and Jeff have a relationship. That's great, but he's got a relationship with Tom Leach. And he opens up to Jeff Goodman but won't say crap to Tom Leach. That's disingenuous. And I'll tell you what I said in the first hour, and if you heard, he needs to go to the woodshed. Seriously, how dare you not talk to Tom Leach? It's not the first time. He didn't walk away from him. He just didn't answer any question. He needs to take him to the woodshed. He needs to go in the back room and wash his own mouth out with soap. And if that pisses somebody off, I don't give a crap. This is the University of Kentucky. You're supposed to be this really smart guy, and you're acting like a baby. Mark Pope is acting like a baby. Stop it. Fix it. Be a man. Sit there and say, we lost. Are you going to tell everything to us that you told the team? No. But you can give the fans something. You can't say this is the greatest fan base in America and then not tell the fans anything. It's disingenuous. It's wrong. Does anybody bring them in the office and tell them, hey, you can't do this anymore? Grow up. I am so disappointed in him. It's not even funny. It's awful. It's just absolutely awful. Plus, one more as I do my little thing here. I want you to look at and do it later, whatever. But I've looked at all the coaches in the SEC. And how many do you think have a better coach than Kentucky right now? Now, could it change? Sure. Show me a change. Show me a change. Mark Pope has to prove that he's the right guy for this job right now. And if that bothers somebody, God bless you, have your opinion and I have mine. Right now, he's not the right guy for the job. Could it change in 2 weeks? Yes. Could it be he's having a slump? Yes. But right now, as a head coach, he's not very good. Jonathan?
That was a lot, Alan. I've been sitting here in my head just kind of going over what I wanted to say because I want to be, at the same time, compassionate towards Mark, compassionate towards his staff, compassionate towards the kids because I've been there. I know what it's like to be in that fishbowl. I know the pressure of, every game being a Super Bowl for the other team. And I know what it's like to have to make decisions split second, and be second guessed and third guessed and, talked about on the radio. I know all that's like. But having said all that, and this might get me uninvited to future practices, but I gotta reiterate what you just said, and that is all of our problems start from the top down. Everything happening on the court is very fixable. We have talent. We have kids that have ability. We have kids that will do the right things, I believe. But the problem is they're not being led effectively right now. And that's disappointing to me and shocking to me because I really thought that, Mark had the ability to go in there and grab this team by the horns, and get kids to do the right thing. And we're not doing that. For example, let's talk about passing. I alluded to this on our previous show, but I'm going to just say it out loud this time. We have certain kids in our team that won't pass the ball to certain other kids. It's not because they're bad passers. It's because they are unwilling passers, which is a huge red flag on a team. But more importantly, that fault lies squarely at the feet of the coaching staff. Because here's what people don't understand. Back when I played a million years ago, we had a kid by the name of Jamal Mashburn. You might have heard of him. But the very first practice, you can ask anybody who played with us, anybody who played on that team, the very first practice, Patino looked at us and he said, "You know what, guys? This is Jamal Mashburn, and your job is to pass the ball to him." That was the end. That was it. That was the entire speech. That was our pep talk. And do you think we all wanted to pass the ball to him every single time? No. We were juniors and seniors and upperclassmen, and we thought that it's going to be our time. He's got to come here and compete. No, he was the guy. And the issue that we have right now is that, again, I'm going to get disinvited to practice, but I'm going to have to say this. There are certain players that Mark wants to be the guy. They ain't the guy, Alan. They ain't the guy. When we make stretch runs that last 10 minutes of the ball game, we have 5 or 6 kids that I call our closing group. That when we make a stretch run, it's going to be those 5 or 6 in some mix that make a run. Go look at the tape. This is not me talking crazy. Go look at the games that mattered, the games of significance in the last 10 minutes of the ball game, and see who's in the ball game when we make a run. And you know who it's not? It's kids that are in the starting lineup. It's not. They're not part of the stretch run team. So if your stretch run team is the one that can lock down defense, make some baskets, make some plays, get to the free throw line, get us close, why isn't that group your starting group? Why are there certain players that are getting chances to, and God bless them, they're trying their hardest, they're giving effort. But the thing is, at some point, effort is trumped by ability and by reality. I'm going to call a name here. Cam Williams. And I got a problem with Mark on this. He was asked in the post game about Cam specifically, and I'm gonna jumble the words here. Don't hold me to it. But in a nutshell, he basically said that Cam Williams wasn't doing a very good job of being aggressive on offense. I'm gonna call it BS on that because again, the tape doesn't lie. Go look at the game film. This kid will be at the 3-point line, ready position, hands in his chest, knees bent, ready for the ball, and a guard or a kid with the basketball will either barrel down and pretend not to see him, or this is worse as a ball player. We all have seen this. A player will come down and do what's called looking him off. They'll look at him to draw defense towards him and throw the ball in the other direction. That happens too many times for it to be a coincidence. Again, he's the only kid that we have right now that's proven he can make a 3-point shot in a pressure situation in a game that matters. He's the only shooter we got. Another criticism I want to point out too, while I'm on a roll here. Again, I won't get everybody back to practice, but I'm going to just say it. This is no filter, and that is twice in the game yesterday. Once with about 6 minutes to play, and again with about 4.5 to play. We cut the lead. We cut the lead to 9, and we had the basketball. And Cam Williams is in the game. Neither time did our coach call a play to get our best three-point shooter, who's a catch and shoot guy, by the way, a shot. He's a catch and shoot guy. He's not a catch the ball, dribble the ball on a circle, do a step back. That's not his game. He is a catch and shoot guy. When he catches the ball with his feet set, with his shoulders worked to the basket, the odds are pretty daggone high it's going to go in. Why would you not use a player like that in a position like that to show that you're trying to, I guess, coach the X's and O's and coach the flow of the game, as opposed to staying on your base offense and hoping it all works out? That is absolutely it's inexcusable. That's not why we're paying him. It's not. It's hard to watch, Alan. It's hard to watch. And again, like I said, as someone that I like and respect a lot, he's at a very high profile job, and it's our job as members of the media and as fans to evaluate what's going on here, and I guess to look at it for what it is as opposed to what we want it to be. And what it is right now, it ain't. Because the great Vince Lombardi once said, when it comes to football, he said it's a very simple game. It comes down to blocking and tackling. And I want to postulate today that basketball also is a very simple game. It comes down to passing and shooting. And we have kids right now who are unwilling passers, and other teams on their scouts, they're scouting that. They see that Kentucky kids are going to put their head down and they're going to just drive barrel into the basket, or they're going to pass the ball to a buddy or a friend or somebody that they like, as opposed to looking for the person who has the best potential to make a basket for us. It shouldn't matter if all you guys are in blue. It shouldn't matter when you cross half court who gets the ball and who gets to make the shot. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. It's mattering to certain kids. You can see it. If you go watch the tape, you can see certain kids are doing things that are detrimental to the team. Subtle things, but if you play basketball at a high level, you know what I'm talking about. There are kids looking off Williams when he's open for three-point shots to either drive the ball to the basket, double and triple team, or to pass it to a friend. And it's unconscionable. It's unacceptable. It starts at the top. At some point, the coach has to say, you know what? This is our shooter right now. We're going to run this play for number 3 or number 2, whoever the heck he wants to shoot the basketball, but we're not doing that at all. It's too free-flowing. We're not good enough right now, not good enough passers or good enough shooters to be that free-flowing. He's going to call some plays. I'm done.
Wow.
Pent up. That's been pent up at me all weekend. I want to say this.
I'm upset right now. Want to know why?
Why?
You might be. I'm not going to give this to you. You might be more no filter than me.
Well, here's the thing. I don't get paid to do this. This is not my living. I don't care if they don't like me. I can say what I got to say.
I don't care if they don't like me either. Listen, it's okay to disagree.
Yeah.
I learned a long time ago, you can't worry about everybody liking you. Yeah. And hopefully even those who disagree with me are listening because this is interesting. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes we make you think, and that's okay too. Plus we have fun. It's relationships and fun and stuff like that.
For sure.
I've thought this possibly for weeks. And I was being cautious because once you say it, you say it. And I wanted to see if things could change because they could. For today, and I go back to the Tom Leach thing. See, that's not a little things to me are big things. They really are. When you act that way to Tom Leach post-game, and you can't spend maybe 10 seconds or a minute doing yoga breathing to calm down,
right,
or whatever, or right, you say you live your life with gratitude, which I believe outside right, when he loses basketball games. It's awful. He right now is a terrible representative for the University of Kentucky.
It's not good.
I look at Jack Gibbons, for example, and he is turned into, and I've said this before, he might be the best ambassador for the University of Kentucky. Notice I didn't say basketball. Mm-hmm. Because of the hugeness of basketball and how he deals with people and treats people and with kindness and stuff like that. And so now you see Pope, he does stuff like we had the family day. which was just beautiful. Or he's buying ice cream, for all these people, and it was a big bill, but he makes millions, and the money doesn't matter to him. And a lot of people have a lot of money and don't do anything. Well, he's doing that. It's a lovely thing to do. He can be a warm, gracious, kind, beautiful human being. But there's something happens when he coaches, he loses his crap. He just does. And I never thought the only thing I had questioned when he was hired, could he recruit the top-notch kids? And then I took it back because some of the kids he recruited and said, okay, they'll like his positivity. Well, I'm back now saying Marino was great and Johnson is great, but they're Kentucky boys. Would he have been able to recruit them if they both played in California? I think not. And he's got to recruit some of the top-notch kids or live in the portal. And I got to tell you, when you're playing like this, why would you want to play for Kentucky? I think the way they're playing amplifies the decreasing probability of bringing more talent next year. I'm going to go one more, and then I'm going to shut up, and I want you to think about this. You're a really thoughtful guy, and I was going to say you're smarter than me, which you really are, but that's not the point. I used to think Pope was smarter than me, and now I don't, by the way. I just don't. You can do the digs, the this, the that, the other, all this. I don't care about that crap. You see what you see on the court. I've been studying basketball since 1959. Now, I didn't know a lot then, and hopefully I know a little bit more now. But you see things. I want you to think about this for a second before you answer. The next 3 games could be the most important of the season. Hang on. Missouri here. And by the way, I haven't seen Missouri, so I just got to say it. I can just, they're 1-0 league play. They are 11-3 overall, and I should know, but I don't, so I'm not going to make up any crap. Mississippi State, they are 9-5, 1-0 in the league, and at LSU, okay, and they are 0-1 in the league and 12-2 overall. And I don't think any one of them, just from what I've read, but I haven't seen them, I got to be brutally honest. I think any of them are in the class of Alabama. Could be wrong, and Alabama could lose to anybody on any given night. So, I'm not making them out to be the greatest things in sliced bread. The point is this. They go 1-2, and they're done. And I mean done. Because they really need to go 3-0.
They need to go 3-0.
Yeah.
Period.
And could the confidence change? It could. Could this change? Absolutely. Will it? I don't know. See, there was a point in time this season when I figured it would change because I had more confidence in Pope. So hear me out for a second. You lose those 3 games. Now you're going to go at Tennessee.
Loss.
Texas here, and they have some issues. It's interesting. Miller made a comment. It's a great soundbite, but I didn't drag it across to Jimmy just because there wasn't any time for it. He's basically saying my kids are not listening to me. Old Miss, and I think Beard's a hell of a coach, but right now they suck. At Vanderbilt, who's really good. At Arkansas, that's really good. You look at those basic 5 games. If you go 0-3 going into those games, Jonathan, you're not making the NCAA tournament.
No.
Now,
And again, that's so disappointing. I mean, we've given away games. We can't go back in time, but we just gave games away.
Now you go 3-0.
Back in the hunt.
You're not in the top 25.
We're back on the hunt.
But you're in the hunt, and then you feel better yourself because at Tennessee, Texas here, Ole Miss here, at Vandy, at Arkansas.
My issue remains the same, Alan, with this team right now, and that is, like I said, obviously the kids are not performing at the level that we would like them to be performing at, but there are fundamental structural things that are happening on the court that are top-down issues, in that we have too many unwilling passers. It's become it's easy to hide when you're playing against inferior competition. When you're playing against a good team, you've got to pass the ball well. And we only got one shooter, Alan. We got one shooter. One. We got kids that make shots in practice, but in a game, we've got one kid that's proven he can make a shot under pressure in a big game. One. So why don't you look for that guy? Cut the 9 twice. Didn't look for him.
Sorry,
Time.
you took a breath and I jumped in when I didn't realize you weren't finished. Do you understand why I'm having trouble saying you're smarter than me?
I don't understand why. I mean, I am smarter than you. Let's be frank, Al.
But I don't want to have to take it back like with Pope. See, I was actually showing you some
You
compassion.
did. You showed me grace. It caught me off guard. I appreciate that. Yeah.
You know, I figured I could sneak that curveball in on you. Okay, this is a friend of the show and a friend, and yet I'm cautious. Like, you know, I've done this with you. When you have sent me some things, are you okay with me using this? Because
Sure.
Let's say somebody over the weekend sent me something that I didn't ask, but I know they don't want me to use.
Right.
It was pretty obvious. Somebody very tied to UK basketball. So I don't know if you've heard when Jeremy Caudle's on the show. He's a wonderful football guest, but he knows his basketball. So he says, watch the videos of Pope interacting with Leach. Leach now looks annoyed and even distanced when Pope is talking / responding to his questions. And he caps me. People are capsing me back now. You are unfiltered, but Leach is the opposite, as he's supposed to be with his job, and he's trying to help Pope with his questions. That is very, very accurate. And Leach is frustrated. He'll never say it. If I asked Leach to show, first of all, I'm sure he would have to say no because it's across town and stuff that'd be my guess. That's not a negative comment to Tom's or their organization. I don't think my organization would like it if I showed up not to care. So it asked me to do KSR for you. There's certain things you just can't do. So I like how he said, always, I'm totally unfiltered with UK these days. Like, can I use it?
Observation. He's right. I don't disagree with that.
And more, I keep on bringing this up, but I'm really ticked off about how he treats Tom Leach. And it's not the first time. He ought to be ashamed of himself. I hope he opens his show tonight and apologizes to Leach. I hope he does. And if he does, it's legit. But it's not the first time. You are a representative of the University of Kentucky. This is not BYU. This is not Mississippi State. No disrespect to either program. Okay, this matters more. Okay, and as you said, that you understood the pressures and stuff like that. I understand that. I respect that, and I respect you.
I'm on err on the side of that. I want to err on the side of, he was just so frustrated after the game that he kind of shut down, and Leach was a easy target. He's right there. And, sometimes the anger gets misplaced. So I'm thinking misplaced anger or misplaced. I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, but Tom Leach wasn't the target. He was just convenient. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
He's getting short with the media in his media sessions, but he wouldn't dare do that. So it's Tom Leach. Respect it.
Yeah, I know. It's a great guy. I mean, yeah.
It's BS.
I agree. It's inexcusable. You can't excuse it. You're right.
And so, okay, here's the thing that bothers me past Tom Leach. As bad as that is, my whole point is, what else are you not doing properly? Okay. What else are you not doing properly? And I don't think that's a little thing. I think that's a big thing, actually. And is there nobody around him to sit his fanny down and say you're wrong? Everybody needs somebody. That's why I've been married for 43 years. Everybody needs somebody. You're not touching that, are you? Everybody,
no, I'm not.
That's because you're smarter than me. Everybody needs to, help put reality back in every now and then. Maybe he's got somebody. Is it Leanne? Does she listen to the post game? Does she know she's supposed to have all this great influence with a great relationship? Or maybe she hasn't. He's just not listening to her. Is it Mitch? Is it Mark Hill? Is it Fox? And I'm saying Fox names first because, he started in the business for Fox and he respects Fox as an elderly gentleman in the sport. I don't know. But somebody needs to grab his fanny, sit his blank down and say, wake up. Wake up. You're at Kentucky. You're not at BYU. You're not at Utah Valley State. If you answered those questions at Utah Valley State, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Still wouldn't be.
I want to make a comment, Alan. Of all the folks you mentioned that could be his sounding board, his consigliere who could, speak into his ear and grab him and sit him down, none of them played or coached for the University of Kentucky. He needs somebody, I know this is hard for him, but he needs somebody who's been there with him and done that with him in that foxhole. He wants to establish his own identity. I totally get that. But this thing's about to go off the rails. We're about to go off the rails with him. He knows what the deal is here. You don't get a very long rope. He won't get 5 years of mediocrity here. At some point, he's got to show progress from last year from last year to this year, and right now we're looking at regression. And if we lose 2 of the next 3, we're looking at a season pretty much over. It's done, and that's not acceptable here. He needs some help, and I'm not sure if he's willing to get the help he needs. We all know what the issue is, but I'm not sure if he's willing to do that. And that's listen to somebody that's not in his camp right now.
Well, or somebody in his camp who he trusts who can then go in and be face to face with him. It's okay if it's Mark Fox. He's in his camp. Mark Fox should be able to say anything to him, I think. Am I wrong?
I mean, no, he should be able to say anything to him, but what I'm saying is that we have a standard here, Alan. I know it sounds corny, but there's a standard to be met that Pope knows, but he's gotten away from that. And it's hard to watch his teams do things so unfundamental. Like I said earlier, I mean, Vince Lombardi's quote about blocking and tackling. We do things, let me rephrase that. Kids will do what you allow them to do. And some of the things I saw in the game yesterday, late in the game, I hate to pick on a kid, but I'm going to have to call a name because you'll know who I'm talking about. Jasper Johnson. He made one great play and one play that was indicative of I guess, the crap that we've become accustomed to. In the first half, he's playing the point. He drives down the middle of the lane. Well, first of all, he makes a gorgeous move to lose his man. Just goes right past him. Gets in the middle of the lane. Without even looking, he fires a dart. I mean, hits the guy right in the chest for a wide open jump shot. I can't remember if the guy made the shot or not, but I was so impressed by the move he made and being so intentional about doing something that we don't do, which is penetrating pitch. He penetrated the heart of the defense, sucked everybody in, threw a beautiful bullet, no-look pass, hit a guy in the chest, but only happened one time. Second half, he does the complete opposite. It's late in the ball game. We're falling apart. We're down 15-16 at this point. And he's got the ball on the right hash mark. And he wants to shoot, but he's not open. He's looking for a shot. It's not there. So he makes what I call a balloon pass, just this lazy flip pass back to the left. He knows his guy's there in that spot. But the problem is he didn't read the defense because the defender, because they scout us and they know that we don't make crisp passes, the defender took Allen. He took 2 steps before the ball even left his hand. So that when the ball finally got about half of where it was going, it went right to the defender and get an easy layup. That was indicative of something that in practice, that when that happened in practice, you would be broken of that habit. Think back to how crisp the passing was back when Rick was our coach, because it was drilled in us. We threw balloon passes once in practice, and then you ran till you threw up. I mean, little stuff, just little stuff like that. And I brought that up because that wasn't the first time he's done that. He's done that balloon pass multiple times, but it's only been a problem a few times. But he throws that I'm not looking, I'm not really. It's a high school pass. Nobody's going to try to run through it. Yeah, they will, because they're going to scout it. They're going to know that you throw balloon passes, that you can be scouted on that. That's coaching. It's coaching.
You get away with that in high school. You can't.
Right. That's a high school pass. You can't do that. And it's like I said, a lot of little things like that, fundamentals. And I'm disappointed that we're not fundamentally sound right now.
Would you agree with this? Sorry for stepping on it, Jonathan. Would you agree with this? As wonderful as Lowe has been, he doesn't pass the ball either.
He's not great at passing the ball. But here's my defense of him. He's better than the rest of them. He is. Which shows how bad it is. Is that when Lowe comes in, at least somebody might pass the ball. But when Lowe's not in the ball game, ain't nobody passing anything to anybody. It's all one-on-one. Even the post players, we don't do what's called pitch and fan out, which is pitch the ball into the post as a wing player. You fan out, relocate to a different spot, and then the post player throws the ball to you because the guy defending you either turned his head or he dug down to try to double team the post, and now you're wide open in the wings. We never do that. That's like a junior high school type of a move. You throw the ball to the post and you fan out. We don't do that at all. And to their credit, Alabama exploited that. I think their coach said that our bigs have like 7 assists total as a group over the last 10 games. Something ridiculously comically low. How do you have 7 assists over a 10-game period with multiple players playing that spot? When it goes into the middle, we're going to throw up some kind of crappy shot, no matter what. It's going to go up. We never look to fan the ball back out to a 3-point shooter. Never.
Let me read this.
Tackling.
I don't know if you know Derek Johnson, but we've been friends forever, and I've been close with the family forever. Alvis,
good people.
Oh, and smart.
Good people.
And
Love the kid. I love him. I love him.
Well, Alvis was one of the great men, not just high school coaches. He should have been a head coach in major college, but I don't want to get into that now. But what he did for kids helping out, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Tough, strong. So this is what Derek said. And my respect for Derek is off the charts. I asked him to do the show today.
Yep.
He said, no, I don't know if he couldn't fit in his schedule or he didn't want to say certain things. Either way, I respect it.
Mm-hmm.
And the one time he was on, we went way long because he's so good. He's so thoughtful and good. So he put this on Facebook. So I kind of figured if you're on Facebook, I don't need to ask permission.
Sure.
If you're sending me a text and I think it's hot, I'm not ruining my friendship by putting something on the air I shouldn't.
Right.
I'm just not
I know what you're talking about. I saw it. Yeah.
Okay. So he said, Pope clearly don't like Jasper's game. Mind-blowing in games with ranked opponents, we average under 5 minutes a game. When you say we, he's talking about Jasper. The lower level games, he plays him a lot, not because he wants to, because it rests Jalen and makes the time average look better, exclamation point. I get it. Coaches who like who they like, but we don't score and leave a bucket on the bench, exclamation point. Now, I don't know how you play Jasper over Colin Chandler, by the way. I mean, there's 1 inch difference. Okay. Jasper can play defense just as good as Chandler. Chandler's been in a horrible slump. He's obviously got no confidence. He can't create his own shot. Jasper can. Jasper is a willing passer. I think Jasper just needs to play. And I'm not saying putting Jasper in will change the whole team in the whole season. Right?
No.
That's where I'm coming from, but I don't know why he played 6 minutes the other day.
Yeah.
And how you don't play Cam. Look, the proof in the pudding of confidence, if a coach sits you on the bench or he puts you in, everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
Get 8 threes against a cupcake. Well, don't you want to see if he can do it against the
And
bench?
then, again, like I said, I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it. I don't like how he threw Cam under the bus. Like Cam was the problem now. I don't like that one bit because Cam is not the problem.
I don't think he did that, to tell you the truth. I think what he did is that he answered the question, and I think it got blown up that it was a Cam in the situation. I really don't think he did, because I've been to 1,000 press conferences, probably that and then some, whatever the hell it is. And oftentimes when you're asking a question, it gets something else.
Yes.
And you'll have to defer to me about knowing a little more about press conferences. I know it hurts for you to defer to me, even though you're much smarter.
I defer to my elders, so. You didn't see that coming, did you?
You found a good way of doing it. Okay. If you got another 5 minutes, I want to throw 1 or 2 things at you that I think are important. And I've been hinting at this for weeks on the air. And part of this has nothing to do with Kentucky. Let me repeat. Part of this has nothing to do with Kentucky, but it is all about Kentucky because they're part of it. I really believe it's happening right in front of our eyes. And someday people say, oh, look at it. It's been happening. The word blue blood does not mean the same thing anymore. The old school guaranteeing that a blue blood will remain a blue blood is BS. It's just BS. Okay? If you go back to when Knight was at Indiana, those people thought that Indiana would always be great.
UCLA, same thing.
Absolutely. Now in football, in Indiana is the poster child. Ohio State's losing, Indiana's winning, things are changing. You can say it's NIL, you can say it's money. It's a million things. I don't want to go on a tangent about that. Facts are the facts. Blue bloods are changing. And I'm telling you, had Billy Gillispie stayed here another year, they would not have won 10 games because everybody was leaving. And by the way, that's not a revolutionary comment. And then if you replaced him after another year, and by the way, if he wasn't such a jerk off the court and a jerk, to people, I'm not sure he would have been fired. I don't know that, but I mean, being a jerk had more to do with getting him fired. I think everybody knows.
Oh, yeah.
But the point, he lasted another year, which he wouldn't have because there were parents who went to Mitch and said, we're leaving. Okay. They wouldn't have won 10 games. And you could hire another Rick Pitino to save it. And Cal saved it. There's no question Cal will never be enough credit for saving
Absolutely.
greatest recruiting class in the history of basketball to do that on a dime when all those kids could have gone somewhere else. I've never seen a better recruiting class because there was no time period to do it, and it was so great. It was the right person to do
Masterful job. Yes.
Absolutely. Patino couldn't have done what he did when it came to recruiting. Patino's a better coach. He's a better recruiter. The point is this. There is no guarantee that Kentucky's going to be blue blood 10 years from now.
There's not.
And I know some people out there saying, shut up, Cutler. You don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm not saying it won't be, because that's stupid for me to say it won't be. I'm going to tell you I don't know. And I am going to tell you Kentucky in football can improve. If they give Stein enough money and if he makes the right decisions, they can absolutely improve. They have a better shot of improving today than they did 7 years ago. Stoops got to him to a point, but I don't think he could have kept that point. I didn't think it would fall apart the way he did, but I don't want to go into his Stoops thing. Blue bloods are changing. They're just changing. Nobody knew 15 years ago that UConn would be a blue blood. Some people don't want to accept them as a blue blood. They are a blue blood. I'm telling you, if they don't win at least 2 of the next 3 in conference, and I mean at least 2 of the next 3, unless it changes, this could be disastrous. Here's the other thing. I think there are kids who might have come here who are no longer thinking about coming here because of how the team is playing. They're not even the top 25 team. To some of these kids that are 17 years old, they don't know about your teammates. They might not know about Mashburn. Maybe they do now because he's doing TV. But they don't know about him. It doesn't mean as much to some people as the people in the state think. I honestly believe that. That's not a rip. That's just reality. Kid in San Diego, if he sees that this team is close to 500, it's like, oh, Kentucky was great in the good old days. Great. How much money are they going to pay me? Things are changing. I'm telling you, there's a possibility that I would be concerned about treasuring this tradition, saluting this tradition, protecting this tradition, and having a shorter leash to make sure you protect this tradition. And I am concerned if Pope can do it. I'm not saying he can't, but this is the first time I'm concerned. And if 2 weeks from now they win 5 in a row and somebody wants to rip me, I'm going to say what I'll say now. I was concerned. He proved me otherwise. Mark Pope, last one, then I'm going to shut up. Mark Pope has to prove to you. Mark Pope has to prove to everybody out there listening. Mark Pope has to prove to me that he's the right coach for this program. And right now he's not proving it.
I think if you were to ask him, I think he has to prove to himself right now. He's got to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and realize that the buck starts with him. He is the one who decides tone and tenor of how we operate. He's the CEO of Kentucky basketball right now. And to look at him, not moving in a very confident manner, and you look at his team not moving in a very confident manner, you have to question some things. And I think he has to question himself, and he has to figure out, what do I need to do differently in order to have a different result? Because the definition of insanity, Alan, is doing the exact same thing and expecting a different result. You put the same starting lineup out there that gets down by 8-10 points, early in the first half, and then we got to spend the entire second half digging out of a hole, and that perpetuates a cycle of negativity amongst the kids. Oh, here we go again. You can see it on their faces. It's not positive body language at all. I'm a body language reader, and our body language right now is terrible. Always scored a bunch of points, but even he wasn't confident in the ability to win that basketball game yesterday. Because, I can just look at their faces and look at the way they stand and tell that they weren't, that wasn't their goal. Their goal was to, okay, I'm going to try to do the best I can here, but I don't really see how we can win. That's not Kentucky basketball at all. That's the most frustrating part to me, is that I'm looking at a team that is not reflective and indicative of what we are. Going back to your blue bloods going away thing, that was just 5 guys that are just trying to, improve their draft stock status or whatever. It was horrible to watch. Not fun to watch at all. Terrible.
You worried about the future of the program?
I am.
I'm giving dead air on the radio on purpose.
Same.
And by the way, if you notice, folks, I'm not yelling, not screaming, not calling anybody names. I'm being really calm about it. I've given this a lot of thought. I've had it as a question mark for 2 weeks and didn't think it was appropriate. Not because I like Mark, and I do, but I think it was appropriate to give anybody more time, because you can fall in a valley. Patino had slumps. Joby had the January slump. There were times Pitino went nuts. I remember after Kentucky became number one for the first time under Pitino, it was a Monday night. I'm covering the game at Vandy. Kentucky lost, and Pitino wouldn't talk to us. And I almost went into the shower and did an interview with the shower. I did that one time with Frank Kersey. Everybody wouldn't talk to us, and we later kissed and made up. It was fun. I interviewed his picture. It was actually pretty funny. And so all coaches have downs.
But here, Alan, I mean to cut you off, but I gotta say this.
Yeah,
it's not the winning and it's not the winning and losing. It's not the record. That's not the issue right now. The issue is what the product on the court looks like. Because as you know, I was on a team, Alan, that was 14-14. We lost half of our games, but but we were beloved. People still talk about that team that was 14-14 because we gave maximum effort. It was a top-down situation where you saw where we were going with that team. With this team here, we don't really know where we're going. It's a rudderless ship right now. That's what's disappointing. It's not that we're losing, it's how we're losing. It's the direction of the entire program right now.
That team has always been one of my favorite UK teams.
I hear it all the time. Not a month goes by, somebody didn't talk about a 14-14 basketball team at UK as being one of their favorite teams. Because we blocked and we tackled.
Yeah.
We did the fundamentals. We were a team. We didn't like each other, but we were a team.
You didn't like each other.
No.
I like that.
But you couldn't tell it by watching us play. You couldn't tell that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's okay. I thought it was interesting that this was the first time that Richie, Pell, Feldhaus, and Woods were ever together at Rupp Arena this year when Pell came back.
Mm-hmm.
And they hadn't been together outside of reunion, basically, they hadn't been at Rupp Arena. And I think that speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I'm not starting anything because I'm not. I just think relationships are different. I think there's love in all these guys' hearts for each other about what they do. But that doesn't mean you want to sleep at their house for 3 days. Is that a fair?
That's very fair. And again, we've grown closer in our old age. But at that time, everybody was, kind of on fire for themselves. That's just the nature. That's the nature of the business. That you're trying to grow your own little fiefdom. You're trying to make your little system work, and you got to work within a bigger system. And sometimes personalities don't mesh. But the thing is that on the court, no one should ever be able to tell that I don't like this guy or that we have an issue, because when I get the basketball and you're open in your spot, you're getting the basketball in a position to be successful. And right now, we're not doing that. We have kids on this team who won't pass the ball to certain players in a position to score. Why? I don't know the why. I'm not going to speculate on the why. I'm just telling you that I see what the tape says. The tape shows there are kids looking off our only shooter. I don't care why. I want it to change.
Yeah, I don't care why either. By the way, that team that won 38 in a row and I think should have won the national championship, a lot of guys on that team I know didn't like each other.
Sure.
Very common. You think Booker was in love with the Harrison twins?
No.
You think Ulis was in love with the Harrison twins?
The Harrisons are hell of the Harrison twins.
My gosh. Oh, my gosh. I got 30 seconds. The last thing you didn't say that you wanted to say that we didn't talk about, you can talk about how smart you are, much smarter than me, or give yourself a great plug for your business. Do both.
I appreciate that, Alan. Again, my business is JT Davis Asset Management for all of your retirement needs.
And because he's much smarter than me, you should listen to JT. We have to have a cup of coffee, by the way.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Bless you, brother. I didn't mean to go this long. I hope that I didn't mess you up. By the way,
no.
if it ever happened to say, cut, I got a meeting. I got to hang up. They just do. I would hate to mess you up. I don't want to abuse our friendship. But, I just looked at the clock and this didn't seem like as long as it was, which is usually a very good sign of radio. Okay, conclusion. This can be fixed. I have no confidence it will be fixed. I have no confidence it won't be fixed. I'm in limbo. I have no idea. And the fact that I have no idea, my opinion, that's not good. I don't usually have this opinion. I don't have any idea if you can fix it because it's not the record. It's what they're doing inside the games. It sounds like you agree with me 1,000%.
I do. We're on total agreement right now. We are, unfortunately.
Bless you, brother.
See you, man.
Hey, I appreciate you. And I hope they're not banging down your door saying that you should take my job because you'd be much better at it because you're much.
That's not happening, man.
I get a feeling when you retire from your company one of these years, you're going to want to take my job.
I don't think I am.
You had a great laugh, dude. You do. Jonathan Davis, pleasure, brother. I appreciate
it, brother. Have a good one.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Davis. I'm telling you, is he more no filter than me?
Yeah, that rant he went on in the very beginning, that's one of his best. And every time he comes on, it's great. But that you could tell, as he said, he's been holding that in for a couple days.
Yeah. By the way, he is a very, very successful company. If you want to call him great, he'll take care of you, but he doesn't need any more clients. Hasn't needed anybody for a long time. He's a really, really smart man, and he's a caring man. And it's interesting. And I absolutely believe this. There are more teams that don't like each other than I think people realize. And what are they going to do? Hey, do you guys like each other? Well, yeah. And by the way, that's not a negative comment. And what he said about Patino when him saying, you're going to pass the ball in the match. Now, those guys didn't like it. I don't blame you for not liking it. If I had a really good shot, I'm going, well, I want to get a little bit of mine too. But you do what you have to do for the sake of the TEAM. Plus, you knew that you couldn't fool Patino. Really? You think you're going to fool Patino? You know what I think? I think that this whole show is about what I think. I think that some of these guys think they're fooling Pope. And I think they can't fool Pope. And if they're not fooling Pope, Pope ain't taking care of it. Huge thanks to John Hale with the portal and what's going on. It was terrific. I had planned to play some Kentucky women's basketball sound. I think we'll do that tomorrow. Kentucky's jumped up to number 6. I think it's spectacular. Thoughts and prayers to Yanni Key, who's, forget the fact that she was playing great and a leader and a future WNBA player, which she still can be, but a dislocated elbow. Jimmy, I don't know about dislocated elbows, but it sounds awful. I think she got hit at the wrong spot. And I feel for her tremendously. So, yeah, the team needs her, but I hope I have no idea how long you're out with something like that. So I wish her nothing but the best. That was crazy. I don't know if you saw the video. The first time it was like, first of all, she's tough. And then when she was down that long, I'm going, it didn't look that bad. But you know this. You're an athlete.
Yeah.
You get hit at the wrong spot, and it's horrible.
And an elbow, too. That's just the word dislocated elbow. That's one of those you just cringe when you hear it, just imagining what that had to feel like.
Brad Taylor coming up next. Jimmy, thank you so much. My phone is ringing like crazy. What is on? Alan Cutler, 1300